All right, let's talk about managers. It's one of those jobs that seems so common, but when you really think about it, it's pretty complex. Well, today we're going to demystify the whole thing. We're going to use a classic but surprisingly simple framework to cut through all that noise and get right to the core of what management is really all about. So let's jump right in.
I mean, it's a question a lot of us have probably asked, right? From the outside, a manager's day can look like, well, a whirlwind. Just a blur of meetings, endless emails, and what seem like a bunch of random conversations. It can feel chaotic, kind of mysterious even. But is there some kind of structure hidden inside all that chaos?
The answer is a resounding yes, and the person who figured it out was a management expert named Henry Mintzberg. See, instead of just guessing from an office, he actually went out and followed managers around. He observed their work up close and personal and came up with this really groundbreaking way to explain what they actually do.
And you know what he found? After all that observation, he discovered that all that complex, varied work could be boiled down to just three fundamental roles. That's it, three. These three core categories pretty much define the essence of being a manager. If you can get your head around these three, you've really understood the heart of the job.
Okay, so let's dig into the first one, the interpersonal role. And just like the name suggests, this is all about how managers deal with people. You can think of it as the human side of leadership. It's really the foundation that everything else is built on. So, here's the crucial thing to understand. A manager's formal authority, their title, that's just the starting line. The real influence comes from their ability to connect with people. If you neglect this part, a manager is just a boss, not a real leader. This role covers all those essential human-to-human interactions that make a team, well, a team. And this interaction, it goes in all sorts of directions. It's not just about motivating your own team through check-ins and meetings. It's also about building a solid network of contacts inside the company, to get things done and unblock projects. And, just as important, it's about connecting with people outside the organization to bring in fresh ideas and resources. Now for our second role. If the first one was all about people, this one is all about knowledge. You can think of the manager as the central hub, kind of like the nerve center for their team's information. So in this role, a manager is constantly soaking up information from every direction. The real trick isn't just getting the info, though. It's filtering out all the noise to find the important signals, and then figuring out who on the team needs to know what and when. They're basically the most critical link in the whole communication chain. This information flow really happens in three key ways. First, a manager is always monitoring their environment. They're reading reports, talking to contacts, just getting a feel for what's changing. Then, they take what's relevant and disseminate it or spread it to their team. And finally, they act as a spokesperson, representing their team's work to the higher-ups or to other departments. And that brings us to the third and final piece of the puzzle, the decisional role. This is where the people and the information all come together to create real, tangible action. At the end of the day, a manager gets paid to make choices. This role is all about using their authority, their network, and all that information they gathered to make decisions that actually move the team forward. It's about being willing to take on the risk and responsibility of making a judgment call. This is where the rubber really meets the road. And we're not talking about small choices here. We're talking about the big stuff, the high-stakes responsibilities. Things like making strategic decisions that set the entire direction for the team's future. And maybe the most critical job of all, deciding how to allocate those precious resources. We're talking people, time, and money to hit those strategic goals. So there we have it, our three roles: interpersonal, informational, and decisional. Now, the big takeaway here is that a great manager isn't just good at one of these. They are constantly weaving between all three. I mean, sometimes in the span of a single conversation, they might be motivating a team member, sharing some critical data, and then making a final call on what to do next. And as you can see, these roles don't just exist side by side. They're totally interconnected. Your ability to get good information, that's the informational role, really depends on the network you built in your interpersonal role. And that information is the fuel that allows you to make smart choices in your decisional role. It's this powerful, dynamic system that's always in motion. And really, that's the heart of it all. Management isn't just one skill. It's a balancing act. A truly great manager is like a master juggler, keeping all three of these roles up in the air at once and just seamlessly switching from one to the next as the situation calls for it. So, I'll leave you with a question to chew on. In our modern, super fast-paced, and often remote world of work, which of these three roles, interpersonal, informational, or decisional,
do you think has become the absolute most critical for a leader to master today? The answer, well, it might not be as simple as you think.